welcome. Today we're diving into a concept that's absolutely fundamental for professional traders. We're going to move past just looking at single signals and really get into the art of confluence. Finding those A-plus setups that can give you a real edge in the market. So here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll break down what confluence actually is. Then we'll build out your toolkit. The key things to look for. After that, and this is huge, we'll talk about confirmation. And finally, we'll bring it all together with a practical example. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about a super common, and let's be honest, super frustrating problem that I know a lot of you have run into. So picture this, you spot what looks like a perfect bounce off a trend line. It looks clean, you jump in, and then bam, the price just slices right through it. It's maddening, right? But it happens all the time. Well, the reason is, a single signal is kind of like hearing one note of a song just doesn't give you enough context. The real magic happens when you find spots where multiple different signals all line up and agree. And that powerful idea, my friends, is called confluence. And this right here is the solution. We need to stop thinking in terms of perfect, thin lines and start thinking in terms of zones. An area of high confluence is basically a hot spot on the chart. It's a place where trend traders, support and resistance traders, and maybe even Fibonacci traders are all looking at the exact same price area, getting ready to act. That's what creates a high probability spot for a reaction. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how do we actually find these powerful zones? Well, let's start putting together our toolkit. The foundation of it all starts with the basics, support and resistance. And here's the key thing. We're looking for the obvious levels. Why? Because if a level is super clear to you, you can bet. It's also super clear to thousands of other traders. It's that shared perception that gives these levels their strength. Next up, trend lines. These give us our directional bias. They tell us which way the river is flowing. But remember, a trend line isn't a brick wall. It's more like a general area of guidance. Price can poke through it a little, or turn just before it, and that's totally normal. We're just looking for a reaction, somewhere in that vicinity. And this is where we start, layering in some really powerful context. Think about tools like a key moving average, or one of my favorites, Fibonacci retracement zones. After a big push-up, tons of traders are watching for a pullback into that 50 to 61.8% golden zone. So what happens when that golden zone lines up perfectly with a major support level and a rising trend line? Well, now you've got a 3-star intersection, a serious area of high confluence. All right, so we found our perfect confluence zone, but hold on, this is exactly where so many traders shoot themselves in the foot. They see the setup and they just dive in head first. And this is absolutely crucial. A great setup area is not a guarantee. It just stacks the odds in your favor. Think of it like this. Just because price taps the brakes at your level doesn't mean it's about to do a U-turn. It could just be pausing before it floors it and blows right through. We need more proof than that. This simple 3-step process is what separates professional, strategic trading from just guessing. First, you identify your zone. Second, you wait for price to hit that zone and react. Show you a long wick, something that says, hey, there are buyers here. And third, you wait for the final confirmation that the little pullback is over and the big trend is ready to take over again. Identify, react, confirm. That's the discipline, okay? Let's take this one step further. How can we get even more precise and really dial in our entries? Well, we do that by looking at the market from different perspectives, This technique, top-down analysis, is a real game changer. It's pretty simple, actually. The big chart, like a daily chart, tells you what to do. Should I be looking to buy or sell? And the smaller chart, like a 4-hour, tells you exactly when to do it. You're using the small scale. Action to confirm your big picture idea. And here's exactly what that looks like. Over on the left, the daily chart shows a clear downtrend, hitting a confluence zone. You see that long wick, that's our reaction. That's our reason to get interested. But it's not our entry signal. Now look to the right. We've zoomed into the 4-hour chart. We can literally see the small counter trend that created that daily wick. The entry signal is the break of that little trend line. That's the final confirmation that the big downtrend is back in control. So let's wrap this all up. It really boils down to this powerful formula. Right here, you find your confluence zone. You wait for a clear reaction. Then you get that confirmation, ideally on a lower time frame. You put those two things together, confluence plus confirmation. And that is what a high-quality trade looks like. At the end of the day, this whole process isn't really about finding more trades. It's about finding the right trades. It's about having the patience and the discipline to sit on your hands and wait for the A+ setups. And just let all the mediocre ones go by. Because your best trades won't come from chasing every move. They'll come from patiently waiting for everything to align in your favor.